Welcome to Zoe Stories. Mom's friend saw me dressed as a girl and offered a makeover. It was supposed to be just a joke. Something harmless to kill a lazy Saturday afternoon. The house was quiet, the kind of quiet where you could hear the clock in the hallway ticking, the hum of the refrigerator, and the occasional car passing outside. Mom had gone to visit her sister for the weekend. I had the place to myself. I wasn't planning anything bad. At least, that's what I told myself. It started when I went into the laundry room looking for a clean t-shirt. My cousin's laundry basket was sitting there, fresh from the dryer. She was staying with us for a few weeks during her internship, and her clothes were different. Feminine. Soft. I don't know what possessed me, but my fingers lingered on a silky cream blouse. The fabric slid between my hands like water. I told myself I was just curious about the texture. But then I saw a skirt folded neatly beneath it. A navy pleated skirt. I imagined for one brief, ridiculous moment what it would feel like to wear it. Just for a minute I thought, no one's home. No one will ever know. The next thing I knew, I was in my room with the door locked, the blouse buttoned clumsily over my chest, and the skirt hanging just above my knees. It didn't even fit perfectly, but somehow, I didn't care. The air felt cooler against my legs. I caught my reflection in the mirror, a lanky 19-year-old boy named Arjun wearing clothes he had no business wearing, and yet, I couldn't look away. I tilted my head, adjusted the blouse, smoothed the skirt. My heart was hammering, my cheeks burning. It wasn't about wanting to be a girl, was it? No, it was just a knock. I froze. My blood turned to ice. Before I could move, the door creaked open. And there she was, Sonia, my mom's best friend, tall, effortlessly glamorous, in a fitted black dress that looked like it belonged on a magazine cover. Her dark hair spilled over her shoulders, her lips painted a deep red. She was supposed to be in Dubai for work. Her eyes swept over me in one slow, devastating motion, from the top of my head to the hem of the skirt. Her lips curved into something between a smirk and a knowing smile. "Well," she said softly, stepping inside and closing the door behind her. "Aren't you adorable?" I stammered. I can explain." "Oh, please," she interrupted, her voice silky and amused. "You don't need to explain anything to me, Arya." "Arya?" I repeated, confused. She leaned against the dresser, arms folded. "You look far too pretty to be an Arjun right now." My throat was dry. "You're not going to tell my mom, right?" Her smile deepened, and there was a dangerous sparkle in her eyes. "Tell her? Oh no, sweetheart. I'm going to help you. You clearly have potential." I mean, this was just... Sure. She stepped closer, her perfume surrounding me like warm smoke. "Let's make a deal. You let me give you a proper makeover, and I'll make sure no one hears about this little moment." My stomach twisted. Was she serious? She reached into her designer handbag and pulled out a sleek black makeup case. She placed it on my desk, the metallic click of the latch sounding far too loud in the quiet room. Then she laid a crimson dress across my bed, its satin shimmer catching the light. "You'll thank me later," she said with a slow, almost predatory smile. And before I could say another word, she added, "Tomorrow we're going out." I didn't sleep much that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Sonia's smirk, the way she'd said Arya like it belonged to me. My stomach churned at the thought of her telling my mom, not because of what it meant for my reputation, but because I knew my mom would never see me the same way again. When morning came, I convinced myself it had all been some strange dream. Maybe Sonia wasn't serious. Maybe she'd just been messing with me. I was wrong. At 10 a.m., there was a sharp knock at my bedroom door. I opened it to find her standing there, hair perfectly curled, holding 2 garment bags and a steaming cup of coffee. "Rise and shine, Arya," she said cheerfully, brushing past me into the room without waiting for an invitation. "It's Arjun," I muttered, still half asleep. She set the coffee on my desk, unzipped one of the garment bags, and pulled out a pale pink blouse and a cream pencil skirt. "Not today, it isn't. Sonia, She turned, her expression softening, but her eyes sharp as glass. "Listen to me, sweetheart. You've already made one mistake, letting someone see you like that. If the wrong person found out, she let the sentence hang in the air, heavy with implication. You wouldn't, I said, but my voice lacked conviction. Her smile returned, warmer now. Of course I wouldn't. Not if you trust me. I'm offering you a chance here to do this properly. No half measures. No ill-fitting clothes. I'll teach you how to look, speak, move. You'll be unrecognizable. And maybe, just maybe, you'll even enjoy it. I swallowed hard.
Why?
Why do you even want to do this? She tilted her head, as though weighing how much to reveal. Let's just say, I like projects. And you, darling, are my newest one. My instincts screamed at me to say no. But then I imagined her at lunch with my mom, casually mentioning what she'd walked in on. The humiliation. The questions. The judgment. Just one time, I said quietly. Then we're done. Her smile was like a victory flag unfurling. One time, Arya. I promise. But the way she said it told me she was lying. She handed me the blouse and skirt. Put these on. We're starting with something simple. I hesitated. What if someone sees me? That's the fun part, she said with a wink. No one will see Arjun. They'll see a beautiful young woman named Arya. I stood there for a long moment, the clothes in my hands feeling heavier than they should have. Finally, with a resigned sigh, I closed the door and began to change. When I emerged, Sonia was sitting cross-legged on my bed, makeup case open like a treasure chest. Perfect, she said, motioning me over. Now, let's make you pretty. And just like that, the line between Arjun and Arya began to blur. Cliffhanger. Sonia leaned close, lipstick in hand, and whispered, Tomorrow, we take you out into the world. I don't know why I expected Sonia to start slow. The moment I sat on the edge of the bed, she was already moving with the precision of someone who had done this 1,000 times. Her hands were confident, quick, almost surgical, no hesitation, no wasted motion. First rule, she said, parting my hair with a fine comb, you never apologize for taking up space when you're beautiful. You walk into a room like it already belongs to you. The comb scraped lightly against my scalp, her fingers warm as they guided strands into place. I tried to relax, but every nerve in my body was awake, tense, aware of how close she was. The makeup came next. Sonia worked in silence, her eyes narrowed in concentration. Foundation smoothed across my skin, light and cool. Powder whispered over my cheeks. She explained each step like a teacher, her tone both gentle and commanding. You don't just wear makeup, Arya. You wear a mask. One that tells the world who you are and who you want them to believe you are. When she stepped back, I almost didn't recognize the person in the mirror. My jaw looked softer, my eyes bigger, framed by lashes that seemed far too long to be real. My lips glossy, tinted with a shade she called whisper pink, almost trembled when I saw them. Before I could speak, she was at my side again, holding up a silky slip. On, she said simply. I hesitated. The fabric felt too intimate, too revealing. But her raised eyebrow made it clear there was no choice. I slipped it over my head, shivering as it slid down my skin. Good, she murmured, stepping back to admire her work. Now the dress. It was deep red, the kind of red you'd see on a movie poster, dangerous and impossible to ignore. She zipped it up, the sound loud in the quiet room, and I felt the fabric pull snug around my waist. Shoes, she said next, producing a pair of nude heels. My heart sank. I can't walk in those, I protested. Her smile was slow and wicked. You will. The first attempt was humiliating. My ankles wobbled like I was standing on stilts, and Sonia laughed, not cruelly, but like she was enjoying a private joke. She placed her hands lightly on my shoulders. Head up. Shoulders back. Imagine you're walking towards something you own. We practiced. Again and again. Until my steps were steadier, my strides smaller, my hips swaying without me even thinking about it. Every time I faltered, she was there, guiding, correcting, sometimes just watching with that same unreadable smirk. Finally, she stood back, arms crossed, eyes scanning me like a sculptor assessing her creation.
Perfect, she said.
Tomorrow, we test you in the real world. I blinked. Real world. She grinned. We're going to the mall. You'll be Arya for the entire trip. Every second. Every word. My stomach dropped. What if someone? That, she interrupted, is the point. You'll be seen. You'll be admired. And you'll realize there's no going back. Her words echoed in my head long after she left. I stood in front of the mirror, the heels pinching my toes, the lipstick still shining under the bedroom light, and for the first time, I couldn't tell whether I was more afraid of being caught or of enjoying it. The next morning, I sat on my bed staring at the heels Sonia had left for me. They sat there like a challenge, daring me to pick them up. My phone buzzed. Sonia, I'm outside. Wear what I left.
Hair down.
Makeup light but clean. I told myself I could still back out. I could walk outside in my normal clothes, tell her this was over. But the thought of her telling my mom, or worse, anyone else, tightened around my chest like a vice.
So I dressed.
The cream blouse, the knee-length skirt, the heels. I spent 10 minutes trying to curl my hair with the iron Sonia had left, burning my fingers twice. Then came the light makeup, foundation, a touch of blush, mascara, and the whisper pink lipstick. When I finally stepped outside, Sonia was leaning against her car, sunglasses perched on her nose. She gave me a slow once-over, then smiled like a cat who'd found a new toy. Perfect, she said, opening the passenger door. Let's go, Arya. The ride to the mall felt like it lasted hours. My palms were damp, my knees pressed tightly together, the skirt riding up with every bump in the road. Sonia chatted casually about shops she wanted to visit, about lunch, about our plans, as if this was just a normal outing between two women. When we pulled into the parking lot, I froze. People everywhere. Families, teenagers, couples. It hit me all at once. This was it. I wasn't hiding behind closed doors anymore. Sonia noticed my hesitation. Head up, she said softly but firmly. No one will question you unless you give them a reason. You're Arya. Own it. The first few steps on the pavement felt like walking a tightrope. My heels clicked too loudly. The sunlight felt too bright. I could swear every single person was looking at me. Inside, it was worse. The cool air hit my legs, making me hyper-aware of how exposed I felt. Sonia led the way into a boutique, her heels clicking confidently. I followed, heart pounding. A saleswoman approached us with a bright smile. Good morning, ladies. Looking for anything special today? I froze. She'd said ladies. She thought I was just browsing, Sonia answered smoothly, looping her arm through mine. Her nails dug lightly into my skin, a reminder to play along. We wandered through racks of dresses. Sonia pulled out a deep green one and held it against me. This would look gorgeous on you, she said loud enough for the saleswoman to hear. Go try it, Sonia said, handing it over. The fitting room was a small, mirrored box. I slipped into the dress, the fabric hugging every curve Sonia had helped create. When I stepped out, the saleswoman clapped her hands together. Oh, that's beautiful on you. You have such a graceful figure. My face burned. I mumbled a thank you, my voice pitched higher without even thinking. We bought the dress. Sonia carried the bag like a trophy as we walked through the mall. Every smile from a stranger felt like a spotlight. Every passing glance felt like a test I might fail. And then, as we passed the food court, I saw him. Ravi, a classmate from college, standing in line for coffee. His eyes landed on me and stayed there. My chest tightened. Did he recognize me? Or was he just staring at a pretty girl in heels? I turned away quickly, but Sonia's grip on my arm tightened. Smile, she whispered. You're fine. I forced a smile, my heart hammering loud enough I was sure she could hear it. We made it back to the car without incident, but the image of Ravi's stare stuck in my head the whole ride home. The days that followed blurred together in a strange mix of excitement and anxiety. Claire began bringing me outfits, not just one or two, but entire ensembles that looked like they had been carefully curated for a fashion magazine spread. Dresses, skirts, tops, shoes, and accessories that matched perfectly. The first time she handed me a silky pink blouse with a delicate bow at the neck, I hesitated. "It's just clothes," she teased, watching my expression. "Unless you're scared they'll make you too pretty." Her words struck a nerve. I slipped it on, expecting to feel ridiculous, but instead, the fabric hugged me in a way that was comfortable, almost flattering. When she added a wig, light makeup, and a pair of dangling earrings, my reflection stopped me in my tracks. "You're starting to get the hang of this," Claire said, clearly proud. I laughed nervously. "This is just for fun, right?" But she didn't answer immediately. Instead, she reached for her phone, snapped a picture, and showed me. It wasn't a joke anymore. The person in that photo wasn't me, or at least not the me I knew. And for the first time, I wasn't sure I wanted to go back. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Alara carefully laid out her gown. It was made of deep sapphire silk, trimmed with delicate silver embroidery that shimmered in the candlelight. She stood before the mirror, fastening her necklace, a gift from her late mother, and allowed herself a quiet moment of reflection. Her heart raced, knowing this dinner was more than just a social gathering. Whispers in the market had hinted that Lord of Elric himself would be present, the man whose decisions had shaped so many fates in their town. She didn't know if his presence was a blessing or a threat. Her maid, Tressa, entered with a tray of scented oils and helped braid Alara's hair into an intricate style, weaving in small silver pins shaped like stars. "You look like a queen," Tressa whispered with a smile. Alara forced a faint smile in return, but inside, her thoughts churned. Tonight, she would have to play her part perfectly, smile when needed, laugh at the right moments, and hide the storm that was brewing in her heart. As the final touch, she slipped on her silk gloves and took a deep breath. The carriage was already waiting outside, its lanterns glowing in the night. She stepped toward the door, each click of her heels echoing like a countdown. Because she knew, tonight could change everything. That night, I couldn't sleep. The air in my tiny apartment felt suffocating, heavy with the scent of the new perfume still lingering on my skin from that afternoon. I kept replaying her words in my head, soft, sweet, but with an edge that cut deep. I knew I should walk away, block her number, forget all about this deal before it pulled me deeper. But every time I closed my eyes, I saw her smile, the kind that said she already knew I wouldn't refuse her. The next morning, my phone buzzed. "Meet me at the boutique at noon. Wear the dress I left in the bag. Don't be late." No greeting. No question. Just an instruction. And I obeyed. The dress was softer than anything I owned, clinging in ways that made me look different. Not like the man I'd been, but like the version she seemed to want me to be. I hated how much I liked it. When I arrived, she was waiting outside, leaning casually against a sleek black car. She looked me up and down, a slow smile curling on her lips. "Perfect," she murmured, brushing her fingers along my arm. "Now let's go. We have a lunch meeting. You'll be introduced as my assistant." I swallowed hard. "Your assistant?" She tilted her head.
"Yes."
"And remember, an assistant should be pretty, polite, and agreeable." The word hung between us, sweet and dangerous. I stepped into her car, knowing full well that whatever she had planned was going to change everything. I thought the nightmare was over. I thought once I had agreed to her terms and played the role perfectly, she would let me go. But then she said the words that froze my blood. "You've been so perfect, so believable, that I've decided you're not going back." I stared at her, my lips trembling. "What do you mean?" She smiled, cold, satisfied, victorious. "I've made arrangements. Your identity as him no longer exists. You're legally recognized as her now. New ID, new passport, bank accounts transferred. You are my creation, my perfect beauty blogger forever." The room spun. My knees buckled as the reality sank in. She hadn't just humiliated me, she had erased me. But deep down, a strange, dangerous thought whispered in my mind. If this was my life now, maybe I could make it mine. It was supposed to be a secret, a harmless one. The house was empty, save for the ticking clock on the wall and the faint hum of the refrigerator. My mom had gone to her sister's place for the weekend, leaving me, Arjun, 19 years old, shy, invisible, alone with my thoughts and the silence. Curiosity got the better of me. I was rummaging through the laundry basket, looking for a clean t-shirt, when I noticed her clothes, my cousin's. I'd seen them before but never really paid attention. Today, the soft fabric of a cream blouse caught my eye. The feel of it was different.
Silky.
Gentle. I picked it up, ran my fingers over the folds. Then I noticed the skirt tucked beneath, navy blue, and pleated. It seemed to call out to me. I thought, maybe just for a moment, what it would feel like to wear it. No one would know. No one had to know. So, with trembling hands, I slipped the blouse on, buttoning it awkwardly over my chest. The skirt felt strange around my waist but comforting on my legs. I caught my reflection in the mirror. There stood a boy named Arjun, but dressed like a girl. The reflection smiled back with unfamiliar eyes. A sudden knock on my door froze me. Before I could move, it opened. There she was. Sonia, my mom's best friend. Gorgeous, confident, in a sleek black dress, her red lips curling into a knowing smile. "Well," she said softly, stepping inside, "aren't you adorable?" My heart hammered. My cheeks burned. I stammered. "I can explain." She cut me off with a laugh. "You don't have to. You have potential." The word echoed, heavy and strange. Then she pulled a makeup kit from her bag, set it down gently, and said, "Let me make you pretty. You'll thank me later." And just like that, my world tilted. The night air was thick with unease as I paced nervously outside the cafe, heart pounding like a drum in my chest. Sonia had left me no choice. I had to meet him. His name was Samir, a childhood friend I hadn't seen in years. The last time we spoke, I was still Arjun. Now I was Arya, dressed in a soft lavender dress, heels clicking softly on the pavement. As he approached, his eyes widened in surprise, then recognition. "Arjun."
His voice faltered.
I forced a smile, keeping my head down. "It's Arya now." His expression shifted, confusion, concern, disbelief. Is this some kind of joke? Tears threatened to spill. I wanted to tell him everything, the lies, the pressure, the endless days of pretending. But the words stuck in my throat. Instead, I whispered, "Please don't tell anyone." "Not yet." He hesitated, then nodded slowly. "I won't." But Sonia's voice rang in my ears. "You're mine now." Sonia's eyes glittered with a dangerous calm as she stepped between me and Samir, her heels clicking decisively on the pavement. The night air seemed to grow heavier with every word she spoke. "Well, Arya," she began, her voice smooth but laced with steel, "you're at a crossroads. You can either accept who you've become and live the life I've crafted for you, beautiful, admired, and free from the past. Or you can try to run back to the life of Arjun and watch everything unravel."
My heart seized.
The weight of her ultimatum pressed down on me like a suffocating blanket. "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Sonia's smile didn't waver. "I've tied up loose ends. Your identity as Arjun is no longer safe. Files have been changed, people informed. Try to go back, and you'll find the world has moved on without you." Tears welled up as I looked at Samir, who stood frozen, torn between hope and despair. "Choose carefully," Sonia whispered, stepping closer. "Because once you choose, there's no turning back." I stared into the mirror of her cold eyes, feeling the last shreds of my old self slipping away. That night, alone in my room, the walls seemed to close in tighter than ever. The weight of Sonia's ultimatum pressed on my chest, each breath shallow and labored. I sank to the floor, makeup streaked and eyes swollen from tears I couldn't hold back any longer. I looked into the mirror. The reflection staring back at me was neither fully Arjun nor truly Arya, just a fragile, broken soul caught between two worlds. The lipstick I'd applied so carefully now smeared like the chaos inside me. Memories flooded in. The first time I tried on a skirt in secret, the thrill and terror of walking in heels, Sonia's smile that had once felt like kindness, but now felt like chains. The moments of laughter with Samir, the boy who still saw Arjun beneath the surface. My hands trembled as I reached for the lipstick again, and without thinking, I traced the color over my lips. For a fleeting moment, the panic eased. The softness, the beauty, it felt like a balm. But the truth was undeniable. I was losing myself. The night was silent, but inside my small room, chaos roared like a storm breaking through glass. I sank onto the cold wooden floor, my back pressed against the wall, legs drawn up as if I could make myself smaller, disappear. The faint glow from the streetlight outside filtered through the curtains, casting long shadows that danced across my skin like ghosts of who I used to be. My face felt wet, not from sweat, but from the tears I'd tried so hard to hold back all evening. The mascara and lipstick I had painstakingly applied earlier now streaked down my cheeks, a mask melting away to reveal raw vulnerability beneath. I raised my trembling hand and touched my lips, the smooth gloss sticky against my fingertips. It was the same lipstick Sonia had insisted I wear, a soft, whisper pink. The color felt strange on me at first, but now was almost comforting, like a shield I could hide behind. Yet every time I looked in the mirror, the sight tore me apart. The reflection wasn't just a girl. It wasn't even just a boy. It was someone lost in between, caught between Arjun and Arya, between the past and a future I didn't want but couldn't escape. Memories crashed over me with the force of a tidal wave. The first time I slipped into my cousin's skirt when no one was home, that brief moment of reckless curiosity that had set all this in motion. How innocent it felt compared to the storm that followed. The sound of Sonia's laughter when she first saw me dressed up, that slow, knowing smile that promised power and control. How she had transformed me, step by step, from clumsy in heels to graceful, from awkward to beautiful, but at what cost? I thought of Samir's eyes, wide with confusion but still kind, when he recognized me. The warmth of his promise to keep my secret. The pain of having to lie to the one person I once trusted. My chest tightened as I recalled the ultimatum Sonia had given me earlier. There was no middle ground, no escape hatch. I was to choose, be Arya forever or lose everything, my family, my friends, my identity. The room seemed to close in around me, the air thick and suffocating. I wiped my tears, feeling the sting of salty droplets on my skin. Then, almost without thinking, I grabbed the lipstick tube from my bedside table. The cool plastic felt familiar in my hand. I pressed the applicator to my lips and traced the soft pink hue once more. A strange calm settled over me as the color spread, a small act of control in a world that had spun wildly beyond my grasp. For a fleeting moment, I let myself believe that maybe this new skin, this new face, could be a fresh start, a chance to become someone strong, someone beautiful, someone free. But as the color settled, so did the crushing weight of reality. I was losing Arjun, and I didn't know if I could ever find him again. A quiet knock shattered the stillness. My breath hitched. "Sonia," I whispered before the door creaked open just a crack. Her voice floated in, soft but insistent. "It's time to decide." I closed my eyes, heart pounding, the moment I'd been dreading arriving at last. The door opened slowly, and Sonia stepped inside, her eyes flickering with unreadable emotion, part triumph, part something softer, maybe even pity. I remained on the floor, feeling small and shattered, the weight of the moment crushing me from all sides. "You don't have to say anything," she said quietly, closing the door behind her. She sat down on the edge of my bed, looking at me like someone watching fragile glass. I swallowed hard, the lump in my throat nearly suffocating me. "I don't know who I am anymore," I confessed, voice breaking. "Arjun, Arya, it feels like I'm disappearing." She reached out, brushing a loose strand of hair from my face. "You're not disappearing. You're becoming." I shook my head. "But I don't want to become this. I don't want to lose myself." Sonia sighed, leaning back. "You never really had a choice." Her words hit like a blow. Was it true? Was my fate sealed the moment I let her in? I'm scared, I whispered. Scared I'll never be me again. She smiled, a genuine warmth breaking through for a moment. Sometimes, losing yourself is the only way to find the real you. I looked up, tears threatening again. And if I refuse? If I try to go back? Her eyes darkened, warning clear. There is no going back. The world outside has changed. And so have you. I felt the tears spill, hot and unstoppable. Yet beneath the fear, a tiny spark flickered, hope, or maybe acceptance. Okay, I whispered. I'll try. Sonia stood and extended her hand. Welcome, Arya. I took it, standing shakily. For the first time, I looked in the mirror without flinching. The reflection was still unfamiliar, but I no longer hated it. Maybe, just maybe, this was a new beginning. Days blurred into nights as I struggled to balance the life Sonia had forced upon me with the flickering memories of who I once was. Every morning, I practiced walking, talking, even laughing like Arya. The heels became less painful, the dresses felt more natural, and the makeup less like a mask and more like an extension of myself. But freedom came with a price. Sonia's control tightened. She was everywhere, my texts, my appointments, the way I spoke to people. She chose the places I went, the friends I made, even the tone of my voice on the phone. Sometimes I caught myself smiling without meaning to. Sometimes I found a strange pleasure in the delicate lace brushing my skin, or the way strangers called me pretty. Yet, at night, when the world fell silent, the chains around my identity clicked tighter. One evening, after a glamorous event where I was the center of attention, I collapsed into bed, exhausted but restless. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. You're doing amazing, Arya. But remember, some chains are made of gold, and those still bind. The message chilled me. Was this freedom? Or another cage? I looked in the mirror, not at Arjun, not fully at Arya, but at someone caught between two worlds, struggling to breathe. The knock was firm, echoing down the hallway. Sonia's voice slipped through the cracked door, calm and commanding. It's time, Arya. Are you ready to take the next step? I hesitated, heart pounding. What was this next step? More control? Another part of my life erased? But deep inside, a strange resolve flickered. If I was going to live this life, I needed to own it, or at least try. I stood, smoothing my dress, feeling the familiar pinch of heels on my feet. When the door opened, Sonia smiled, a mix of approval and something unreadable. We're going to party tonight. You'll meet new people, make connections. This is your world now. The car ride was quiet, the city lights blurring past. When we arrived, the music thumped through the grand house, lights flashing like stars. I felt exposed, vulnerable, and yet I stepped inside. The night stretched ahead, full of unknown faces and whispered judgments. But I was Arya now, and there was no turning back. The music vibrated through my body as I stepped into the lavish room, filled with well-dressed strangers laughing and talking in clusters. Every eye seemed to flicker toward me, some with curiosity, some with admiration. Sonia guided me through the crowd, introducing me as her new assistant. The words felt strange on my tongue, but the way people smiled and nodded gave them weight. I forced a smile, my heels clicking nervously on the polished floor. Then he appeared, Armin. Tall, confident, with a sly smile that sent a strange flutter through my chest. Nice to meet you, Arya, he said, offering his hand. The evening blurred between whispered conversations, stolen glances, and the dizzying sensation of being both invisible and spotlighted. When Armin leaned in close, his voice low and warm, I almost forgot the tangled mess of my past and present. But Sonia's sharp eyes never left us, a constant reminder that this new life was her design, and I was still her creation. Armin's words echoed in my mind long after he whispered them. I want to know the real you. But who is the real me anymore? Arjun? Arya? A fractured mix of both? Days passed in a dizzying blur of appearances and performances. I smiled when expected, laughed when cued, but inside, a storm raged. Late one night, Alone in my room, I stared at my reflection, searching for answers. The girl in the mirror was beautiful, too beautiful to be true. Yet, beneath the makeup and silk dresses, I felt like a ghost. When my phone buzzed, it was Armin. "Meet me. We need to talk." I knew this conversation could change everything. Armin's voice lingered in my ears long after the party ended, haunting my thoughts like a whispered secret. "I want to know the real you." But who was the real me? Was there even such a thing left to find? In the days that followed, I moved like a shadow through my double life. Each morning, Sonia's voice echoed in my mind, reminding me to be perfect, poised, charming, unshakable. I practiced smiles in the mirror until they felt mechanical, rehearsed laughs that didn't reach my eyes. Yet behind the flawless facade, my heart was a storm of doubt and confusion. One evening, alone in my room, I stood before the full-length mirror, tracing the delicate curve of my jawline with trembling fingers. The girl reflected back at me was flawless, porcelain skin, eyes lined with subtle kohl, lips painted a soft rose. But the eyes behind the makeup were tired, searching for a flicker of the boy I once was, the one who used to laugh without fear, who dreamed without hesitation. My breath hitched as tears welled up, threatening to spill down my cheeks. The silk of my dress felt heavy, like a costume I could never fully shed. The phone buzzed, jolting me from my reverie. It was Armin. "Meet me. We need to talk." The message was simple but loaded with weight. I knew this meeting could shift everything, break the fragile balance I'd built, or finally set me free. As I began to get ready, smoothing my dress and carefully applying a touch of lipstick, a sudden knock startled me. Sonia stood in the doorway, her expression unreadable, neither soft nor cruel, but something deeper, more complex. Her eyes met mine, and for a moment, the power dynamic shifted. "You're running out of time, Arya," she said quietly. And I knew whatever happened with Armin, my life was about to change forever. The weight of Sonia's words settled over me like a shroud. Running out of time. But time for what?
I didn't want to ask.
That night, I met Armin at a quiet cafe, the low hum of conversation a stark contrast to the storm inside my chest. His eyes searched mine, looking for something beyond the surface, the real me. "I know this isn't easy," he said softly, "but I see you. Not just Arya, not just the mask." For the first time, I felt a flicker of hope. Slowly, I began to share pieces of my story. The confusion, the fear, the strange allure of this new identity Sonia had shaped. Armin listened without judgment, his presence a balm to my fractured soul. But as the night deepened, his phone buzzed. A message. From Sonia. His face changed just for a second. He glanced at me, then at his phone. "I have to be honest," he said quietly. "There's more to Sonia than you know." Before I could ask, my phone buzzed too. A new message from an unknown number. "You're closer than you think. Watch your back, Arya." The cafe felt colder suddenly, the shadows longer. Sonia's world was closing in. The knock was sharp, unexpected, different from Sonia's usual deliberate presence. My heart raced as I approached the door, every instinct screaming caution. When I opened it, I was met with a face from the past, my older sister, Mira. Her eyes widened as she took in the sight of Arya standing before her. "Arjun," she whispered, disbelief and confusion mingling in her voice. I swallowed hard, emotions crashing through me. Could I trust her? Could I explain? She stepped inside without waiting, glancing around as if trying to piece together the puzzle of my new life. "I've been worried about you," Mira said softly, reaching out to touch my hand. "Where have you been? What's happened to you?" Tears welled in my eyes. "It's a long story," I said. "And I don't even know where to start." Mira sat down, her gaze steady and warm. "Start wherever you feel safe. I'm here." For the first time in weeks, I felt the fragile thread of hope that maybe I wasn't alone in this after all. Cliffhanger. Just as I began to open up, my phone buzzed with a chilling message. "They know you're slipping away, Arya. Be careful." The tension in the room was suffocating. Mira's presence was a balm, But the message on my phone shattered any fragile sense of safety. Who was watching me? Who was tracking every step I took? That night, I lay awake, mind racing with paranoia and fear. The lines between friend and foe blurred. Sonia's control tightened like a noose, yet Mira's kindness was a flicker of light in the darkness. The next day, Sonia called. Her voice was icy calm, every word a reminder that I was still under her grip. "You're drifting, Arya," she said. "Remember who you belong to." I clenched my fists, the fight inside me rising. I wasn't sure how much longer I could keep this up. The pressure was crushing, and I felt myself breaking. But somewhere deep inside, a small ember of rebellion sparked. The clock ticked toward midnight as I paced nervously in my room, the note's message burning in my mind.
Who had sent it?
And what did they want? Curiosity battled with fear, but in the end, curiosity won. I slipped into a simple dress Sonia hadn't picked, pulled my hair into a loose bun, and stepped out into the quiet night. The city streets were empty, shadows long and deep. I made my way to the abandoned park where the note had instructed me to come. A figure waited beneath a flickering street lamp, tall, cloaked in darkness. "Arya." The voice was low but familiar. I stepped closer, heart pounding. "It's me, Samir," he said, eyes searching mine for trust. Relief washed over me, but suspicion lingered. "I've been trying to find you," Samir continued. "You're not alone." His words sparked hope but also danger. Sonia's reach was long, and trust was fragile. The clock on my nightstand ticked slowly toward midnight, each second dragging by like a lifetime. The note's message, "Meet me at midnight." Alone, echoed relentlessly in my mind, twisting my stomach into knots.
Who could it be? Sonia?
One of her spies? Or someone else entirely? My heart thudded painfully in my chest, a wild, desperate drumbeat as I wrestled with fear and curiosity. The air in my room felt thick and stifling, but the pull to find answers was stronger than any hesitation. I stood before my full-length mirror, dressed not in the silk and lace Sonia had chosen for me, but a simple, dark dress, plain enough not to attract attention, yet soft against my skin. I pulled my hair loosely into a messy bun, strands escaping to frame my face, hoping to look like a version of myself that could walk unnoticed. With shaky hands, I slipped on a light coat and stepped out into the cool night air. The streets were eerily silent, shadows stretching long beneath the flickering street lamps. The city felt like a different world at this hour, both beautiful and haunting. I made my way to the abandoned park Sonia had mentioned, heart pounding louder with every step. The crunch of my heels on gravel sounded like thunder in the quiet. Underneath a dim street lamp, a lone figure waited, cloaked in darkness. My breath caught.
Arya.
The voice was soft, familiar, and carried the weight of 1,000 memories. Relief and disbelief flooded me. "Samir?" I whispered, stepping closer cautiously, scanning his face for any hint of deception. His eyes were filled with a mixture of hope and urgency. "I've been looking for you for weeks. I know it's dangerous, but you're not alone." I swallowed hard, the tightness in my throat loosening slightly. For the first time in what felt like forever, I felt a flicker of warmth, a connection to the person I used to be. But the danger was real. Sonia's shadow loomed large, and trusting anyone could mean risking everything. Before I could ask a question, footsteps echoed sharply from the darkness. A tall, swift-moving shadow detached itself from the trees, heading straight toward us with menacing speed. My heart lurched. Was it Sonia? One of her enforcers? Samir grabbed my hand, pulling me behind a broken bench just as the figure burst into the light, face obscured by a hood. "Who's there?" Samir demanded, voice low but steady. The figure paused, then slowly lowered the hood, revealing a woman's face, sharp and unreadable. "Sonia sent me," she said, eyes locking onto mine. "She wants you to know you're running out of time." A chill ran down my spine. The game had just turned deadly serious. The woman's hand slid inside her coat slowly, every movement deliberate, eyes never leaving mine. My heart pounded so loudly, I thought she might hear it. Samir stepped in front of me protectively. "What are you doing?" he demanded. She pulled out a small envelope, not a weapon. My breath hitched in relief, but the tension didn't ease. "From Sonia," she said softly, pressing the envelope into my hand. "She wants you to make a choice." I opened it with trembling fingers. Inside was a single photograph, me, but in an old family photo, smiling as Arjun, surrounded by my real family. Below it, a note in Sonia's elegant handwriting. "You can run from your past, or embrace the future I've made for you. But you can't have both." My eyes filled with tears. The weight of her control was suffocating. Samir's voice broke through my thoughts. "We can fight this. Together." But could I? Was I strong enough? I looked at the photo again, a reminder of everything I'd lost and everything I still could hold on to. Cliffhanger. As I folded the letter, my phone buzzed again. A new message from Sonia. "Last chance. Midnight tomorrow. Don't make me come find you." The clock seemed to mock me, its relentless ticking counting down the hours until midnight. Sonia's message burned in my mind like a threat. Last chance. Midnight tomorrow. Don't make me come find you. Every moment felt like walking a tightrope stretched over a chasm of fear and uncertainty. Could I really escape her grasp? Samir stayed by my side, his presence a steady anchor in the storm. "We'll figure this out," he promised, but even his voice betrayed worry. As the day dragged on, I rehearsed every possible outcome. I tried to imagine the courage I would need to face Sonia, to finally reclaim myself. Night fell faster than I expected. The city lights flickered to life, casting long shadows on the pavement. I stood by my window, staring out at the streets below, heart hammering. The moment of truth was almost here. Would I surrender to the life Sonia had crafted for me? Or fight to become Arjun again, whoever that was now? The clock struck 11:55. And I knew, in 5 minutes, my world would change forever. The day dragged on like a cruel tormentor, every minute stretching endlessly as I counted down toward the inevitable. Sonia's message haunted me like a dark shadow. Last chance. Midnight tomorrow. Don't make me come find you. The words echoed over and over, a sinister refrain looping in my mind, drowning out everything else. My fingers trembled as I held my phone, the screen cold and unforgiving. Samir's presence beside me was the only steady thing in the swirling chaos of my thoughts. He reached for my hand gently, squeezing it in reassurance, but I could see the tight lines of worry etched on his face. "We'll figure this out, Arya. Whatever happens, you're not alone." I wanted to believe him. I needed to. But beneath that fragile hope, a storm raged. The person I used to be felt more distant with every passing day, like a fading photograph, edges curling, colors draining. Was Arjun even real anymore? Or was I just a shadow trapped in a masquerade? As the sun slipped beneath the horizon, painting the sky with bruised purples and fiery oranges, I stood by the window, heart pounding, watching the city lights flicker on like 1,000 tiny promises I wasn't sure I could keep. The clock on the wall ticked louder with every second, the hands creeping closer to midnight. My breath hitched. 5 minutes. 4 minutes. The weight of choice pressed down on me, surrender to Sonia's world, a life crafted from control and illusion, or fight back, risking everything to find myself again. 3 minutes. 2 minutes. My phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. "You're stronger than you know. Trust yourself." A tear slipped down my cheek, not from fear, but from a fragile thread of courage weaving through the darkness. 1 minute. I took a deep breath, straightened my shoulders, and stepped toward the door, ready to face whatever waited on the other side. The knock came, sharp, deliberate. Sonia's voice followed, smooth as silk but cold as ice. "It's time." And with that, my life would never be the same. The door swung open slowly, revealing Sonia standing there, her eyes sharp and unreadable. The room felt smaller somehow, the air thick with unspoken threats and fragile hope. "I gave you a choice," she said softly, stepping inside like she owned every inch of the space. Now it's time to decide what kind of woman you want to be. I swallowed hard, trying to steady my trembling hands. I don't want to be a puppet anymore. Her smile was slow, almost sad. Puppets are necessary sometimes, Arya. But you're stronger than that. You just have to decide if you want to break free or stay in the cage I built. For a moment, silence stretched between us. Then I found my voice. I want to be me, whoever that is. Sonia's eyes softened for the first time. Then fight for it. Before I could respond, the door creaked open behind her, and Mira stepped inside, determination blazing in her eyes. We're not letting you control him anymore, she said firmly. The room seemed to hold its breath as two worlds collided, the woman who had taken control and the sister who refused to let go. Cliffhanger. Suddenly, the lights flickered, plunging the room into darkness. The sudden blackout swallowed the room in pitch-black silence. My breath hitched as my eyes struggled to adjust. Shadows twisted and stretched across the walls, warping the familiar into something menacing. Sonia's voice cut through the dark, cold and steady. You think you can escape me? Mira stepped forward, her voice unwavering. This ends now. I felt hands grasp mine, Samir's, grounding me amid the chaos. Then, flickers of light returned. The power surged back, revealing Sonia holding a small device in her hand, a remote, her weapon in this silent war. But in that moment, something inside me shifted. No longer was I just a pawn caught between two forces. I was ready to fight. Enough, I said, voice stronger than I felt. I choose me. Sonia's eyes flashed with fury, and something else. Regret? The battle wasn't over. But for the first time, I saw a glimmer of hope. Cliffhanger. Sonia dropped the remote. Then prove it. The remote clattered to the floor, breaking the silence between us. Sonia's fury faded, replaced by a tired resignation that spoke of battles fought and lost. I took a deep breath, feeling years of fear and confusion slip away with the weight of that moment. I'm not your creation, I said firmly. I'm not your puppet. Mira smiled, tears glistening in her eyes, while Samir squeezed my hand reassuringly. For the first time in a long time, I looked in the mirror, not as Arjun or Arya, but as me. The reflection wasn't perfect. It was complicated, fractured, but real. I smiled softly, knowing the journey wasn't over. But this was my beginning. And finally, I was free. The silence that followed Sonia dropping the remote was heavier than any words. Her eyes held a flicker of something I hadn't seen before, defeat mixed with a strange sorrow. I stood taller than I had in months. I'm done being someone else's puppet, I said, voice steady. This is my life, my choice. Sonia nodded slowly, then turned and walked away without another word. Mira embraced me tightly, and Samir smiled, hope shining in his eyes. Looking into the mirror one last time that night, I didn't see just Arjun or Arya. I saw someone real, imperfect but whole. For the first time, I was free. The moment Sonia left, the weight on my shoulders lifted like a storm breaking. I was no longer trapped in someone else's design. With Mira and Samir by my side, I finally embraced the truth. I am both Arjun and Arya, a blend of all I've been and all I will become. Standing before the mirror, I smiled, not because I was perfect, but because I was finally free to be myself. This was not an end, but the start of a new journey.